Hi, I'm Bernie from Crafter's Companion. Today I've got with me our Gemini Quilting Pattern Guide for borders, and this is the dual design. How fabulous is that we've brought out all of these designs to help you make those quilting patterns perfectly. Now I've got a couple of samples to show you first, to show what these do. Now this is on a bag, and normally with a project you think of a quilt, but you can do it on your cushions, on your bags. Let me just show you this design. Can we see how fabulous that is? And you've got where it's just the center pattern that's being quilted. If I just turn this bag around, we can see a totally different shape, and you think, oh, is that a different pattern guide? It isn't. It's actually the same one. I'm going to show you how to use it. So let's have a look at a quilt as well. So this one is a quilted table runner. I'm going to pop this on here so you can actually see this, where it's actually, the design is continuous. You can see how that design is continuous along your pattern. And then if I move up to the center, we can see that we've done it as a rotational design as well. So there's lots of different uses for these. So to set up the machine, what you need to do is you need to have an extension table on there if possible. If your machine doesn't have one, you could put some books around or some boxes, anything that gives you that surface area for you to be able to move your project. The other thing you need is a shank foot. Now these normally come in a low or high shank. We have both on the website. What you're going to do is affix this to your machine and then get it to the right height. And every machine is different, so you'll adjust it to get that perfect precision for your stitching. You're also going to strap the feed dogs on your machine. That's usually a switch at the back, or it might be a button on the front, depending on your machine. And if you do have the facility, just change your stitch length to 0, but it will work at your normal stitch, because your feed dogs aren't going to move because you've dropped them out of the way. So you're going to get your project. So I've got here 2 strips of fabric, and I've got our wadding on the inside, and I've just attached that with our stick and spray, so that's a little bit tacky just to keep your layers together. And you're going to decide how you're going to do your pattern. So when we look at the actual guide itself, what you can see is there's a crosshair printed on here. So what that helps you do is line up if you've got seams on your project, or you can use a ruler or a reference guide, a heat erasable pen, and draw your lines on to keep it straight. Or if you're going to do that rotational one, you can get that center point so you can pivot on there. And also on the design, you can see that you can go around the outside here, but when we looked at that bag before and we looked at the other side, there was a rounded shape on the other side. That's this section here. So it's actually a 2-in-1, you're getting 2 designs, and also you could mix and match them. So you could do one section with the jewel on the outside, and then the next part as that center shape there, so you could make petals with that, with flowers with that, you know, anything you want. Just the world is your oyster when you're just going to play with these. There's also an anti-slip feel to these, and the anti-slip technology, what it helps you do is grip it to your fabric. So if we can see there, I'm just lightly pushing with my fingers, but it's actually moving my project underneath, and that's because it's gripping. That is on both sides as well. If I turn it over, so it doesn't matter which way you pick it up, it's actually helping you guide it. So let's do some stitching and see how this works. So you're going to position your ruler where you want it. I'm going to go at this end, and then you're going to bring it up to here. And what I'm doing is I'm lining up the foot with that channel in the guide. When I lower my foot, it's sitting in there perfectly. I'm going to put my foot on the pedal, and then what I'm doing is just guiding it round. And what happens is the foot actually guides, or hugs if you like, the outside of the guide. So we're just going to go around, and if you get where you think it needs repositioning, if you pause, pop your needle down in your machine, and then again just readjust, and then just follow it around. There's no rush on this, just take your time. Go around one section. The other thing as well, what you can do is actually you can move it. So if you find you're in an awkward position to hold it, or your project's in an awkward position, move it around. Because you've got your needle down, it's not going to move. If the guide moves like this, all you do is just line it back up, following the stitching in there, and then we can start again. And you're going to go all the way around till you get to the end. And we can see there how we've got that jewel design. So what I'm going to show you now is how you would actually do that centre part on there. So I'm going to put my project back under. And what I've done is I've lined it up back where I stopped before. Now essentially you could do that without breaking your thread and carry on as a continuous border. But I'm just going to start again there, a few stitches in the same spot. So if you do have the needle down facility, I would definitely activate that on your machine. And this time when I get to this point here, instead of going around the outside to get that shape, I'm going to go around that centre part. And I say you'll learn your own speed on your machine of what you feel comfortable with. I've paused just to readjust my hands, back in there and back along. And all the time you're just hugging that foot on the side of the guide. So we're going to take that out, put away my thread, and we can see there how we've got a totally different design. So if I just bring that bag back in, and see how we've got that lovely design on that side, and then I'll turn it round. That's the design that you can form with the centre part. So it's absolutely fantastic. So again, this is going to help you finish all those projects off, secure all the wadding together, and this one here, the Gemini Quilting Pattern Guide for borders, and it's the jewel, and we've got that centre section on there that's given us that extra design for the centre. So in effect you're getting a 2-in-1. So this is going to help you put all of those beautiful designs on your quilts, your table runners, your bags, your cushions, your table mats, anything that you want to quilt, and use those variegated threads as well if you've got those that you don't use them, and just have fun.